Hey guys, how you doing? It's lunchtime, and you know what that means. Another great episode of Lunchtime Talk with Steve. Today we have the ex-wife of Muhammad Ali. We have Dr. Khalil Ali on the show with us today. So we're going to come back with her in just a moment, and we are going to get started. Go ahead and share it up with your friends, your relatives, your co-workers, everybody. Just let them know that Steve is on, and we are going to be talking some serious talk with Dr. Khalil Ali. She's the ex-wife of Muhammad Ali. And we all know him. He's the champ. All right. Still the champ. All right. So hold on just a moment. Let me go ahead and get that intro running, and we'll be back with you in just a moment. All right, so we're back and we're here. I'm just gonna go ahead and run a quick commercial. You know how we got to do? Got to take a pause for the cause and pay a couple of bills. We'll be right back to speak with Dr. Khalil Ali. All right. Let me tell you about CCTV RX. With over 30 years in the security industry here in South Florida, they have proven themselves to be the first choice when it comes to security professionals. So whether you're trying to secure your home or your business, there's no other choice. Give them a call today for a free estimate.
Would you like to be more tech savvy? Create your own compelling graphics, sales pages, and marketing tools? Would you like to effectively use social media to generate more leads? If the answer is yes, register for one or all of the 8-module digital marketing series. You will feel comfortable in a judge-free, nurturing environment as we get the work done. My name is Melissa Jane, and I am your tech trainer.
If your car could talk, it would say call Curvin's Car Detailing Service. It's mobile and they can come to you no matter where you are in Broward County. Give Curvin a call, 954-549-8507, and tell him that Steve sent you.
Baby, won't you take me there? I want some real good food to eat. I want shucking and jiving, shucking and jiving. I want shucking and jiving. Shucking, shucking and jiving. I want shucking and jiving.
Well, I know I got what you want. I know you like that dive shrimp. My son is fish and them geechee grits. My granddaddy make you have a fit. I try to give you all of myself. I do it straight from the heart. Cooking straight from the soul. Come on now. Straight from the soul. Yeah. Straight from the soul.
Ooh, that's what it is, what it is. That's where it's at, that's what it is. Come on down and shuck it and jive and Cajun food with an old school groove. Our designers to get your taste palette back in line, baby. Follow us and we shuck it.
All right, we're back. We just had her on, but it looks like she dropped off. There we go. All right, perfect. Dr. Ali, how are you?
Fine. How are you doing, Steve Barrow, the man of the hour? How are you?
I'm
That's
doing great.
glad
I'm
you
doing
are in privacy.
so first off, I mean, we all know we've known you, we've seen you. I actually met you about, oh gosh, 10 years ago, and then I've met you a few times since then.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about some of the issues that we see going on, and I wanted to find out what. Well, first off, what do you think of things that are going on today? The same things that Muhammad Ali fought for and stood for 50 years ago, and it's still happening. What's your thought?
Well, it was a struggle back the era that we was working and fighting for the rights and justice. It's different now than it was then. There then it was like they didn't have social media like they have now that gives a greater impact. It was a lot of hard work, and everywhere we would move and everywhere he would go, they would follow, and it would be just in those areas. The social media today is reaching more people than ever, and it's the same plight, it's the same diversity that we've been fighting for a very long time, but it's getting in the ears. We are globally, the global doors are open, and it's reaching more than ever, which is a grand thing. And it's a good thing. Everybody has phones, everybody has cameras, it's more effective, and everybody's listening. And everybody gets the information. So it's much better now than it was back then.
Okay, and I mean, so we saw where he stood against racism and against all these other things, and you were right there alongside him. So, what was it like for you as a woman in those days, trying to stand up for the issues that the social issues that we know should have been changed and actually should have never been in the first place, but the
Yes,
social
yes.
issues that should have been changed. What was it like for you as a woman during those
Okay.
days?
Well, first of all, I didn't get brought upon this diversity with Muhammad Ali. I came up with it before I met him. We have been fighting for justice for a very long time. I was then associated and came up in the Nation of Islam. And since the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave the black race more self esteem, to put them out of the slave mentality that they were in for hundreds of years. I came up in this in my own home before I met Muhammad Ali. My father and mother was with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and it was his cause, his philosophy that made our people call and be proud of being called black. First of all, it wasn't on the plight. I didn't learn this from Muhammad Ali. I
Hmm.
learned this as a very young age, being under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is
So,
nothing. This is nothing new to me with Muhammad Ali. I was on that page a long time before that.
and that leads to another thing. You're the one who actually converted him to Islam.
Well, basically, he was introduced to Islam through Malcolm X in Florida, and he
Hmm.
came. So he was interested. And so, well, and Ali he always liked originality. He said, whoever taught you, Malcolm, who was the one that taught you? And he said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So Cassius Clay
Hmm.
ventured in to find out about this in Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So he came to Chicago to see and found out he had an empire. We had all black owned businesses. We had bakeries. We had barbershops, supermarkets, cleaners, restaurants, anything that, clothing stores, anything that our black people needed, we had and we owned those businesses. Now that started back in the 50s with us.
Hmm.
So by him coming there, he was interested in seeing who this guy was. But when he came to our Muslim school, huh,
Hmm.
that was the encounter between him and I. And by me exposing uh his name not being appropriate, that's a slave name to me. So that's that's not too impressive for me. You haven't impressed me at all talking what you gonna do, and you got a slave name. So you know what I'm saying? So he he was like impressed with that, like wow, you know. So that gave him more interest. And I think, when men like a certain woman or child or whatever, they tend to go with that. And I think I just with my encounter made him more interested in becoming a Muslim. So you can only convert yourself. Only God can convert you, or you convert yourself through God. But I was one of the main principles of him wanting to really become a Muslim bona fide. Yes, yes, I supported him in that. Yes,
So you knew who he was at this time. You knew who Muhammad Ali was, and
I
and
knew
you're like
I saw who Cassius Clay was,
Cassius
and
Clay was.
he wasn't that educated. He wasn't Muhammad Ali then, brother. It took a long time and sacrifice to become Muhammad Ali. But you know what? Check this out, Steve.
Uh-huh.
I have a book, God willing, will be coming out real soon. I think
Mhm.
I'll be finished with it. I taper it off by the end of September. And the name of that book is The Untold Story, the real woman behind Muhammad Ali, the first family.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So that's actually pretty cool. So
yeah.
let me and I'm just going to flip a couple of pictures here. Um, do
Okay, let me see.
do
Who's
you
that?
remember these pictures?
Oh, wow. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's Muhammad and I. I've never seen this picture. That's Muhammad Ali and I, and our first daughter, Miriam Ali. Yeah, she was a beautiful young baby. Yeah.
I was going through the internet and looking at some pictures, and I'm like, wow. I mean, you actually had a lot of pictures that
Yes.
are out there, and it's like we always saw Muhammad Ali the fighter,
Yeah.
but behind the fighter there was actually the father and the husband. What was
Yeah.
it like to be married to him? What was he like at home?
Okay. The thing of it is, in the words that you said, what was it like being married to this man? But basically, he wasn't the man he is now. Then you have to remember all that came after.
Right.
He was a man that was in exile. He was
Mhm.
a man that was stripped of everything.
Yes.
I had to cope with that. I had to cope and keep him positive.
Mhm.
He didn't think this would ever happen to him. I married him when he had no other thing to do. I married him when they took everything from him. I married him when he was just learning about Islam through the teachings and through me, the best he could. Um, he was a person that was very complicated. He You have to realize this man was stripped in his during his prime. He made a big epic thing about the Sonny Liston fight. He became popular with the Sonny Liston fight, but he wasn't yet the great Muhammad Ali at that time. This is a man that was struggling and that was stripped of everything before he even had a chance to prove himself, simply because he was a Muslim. And that was like a very hard thing to do. I Fortunately, I saw in him great potential. I saw the Muhammad Ali of today back then. And I supported him the best way I could. He was a very depressed man. He was talked about. Even black people didn't like. A lot of black people didn't like him. They called him Uncle Tom. He wasn't fighting for his country. I mean, you'd be surprised how much hatred that caused him to not go to the United States Army to represent or fight for his country. It was a very bad thing to do back in those days.
Hmm.
Um, you know, the Muslims did not support that either. And I think that's what brought him on the philanthropist platform and fighting for something. And I said, man, you got to fight for something. So all of that is in my book. How he didn't go to the army. He first he was going to go, but I distracted him, told him we don't do that. And if you want to be a Muslim, that cannot happen. So
Hmm.
this kind of advice was given to him way before we got married. I talked to him about this. He was a depressed man. He didn't know that was going to happen to him. I said, well, that's going to happen. You become Muslim. A lot of things are going to happen. A lot of things you're going to have to sacrifice. And the Muslims people was very supportive of him. And and now we can sit back and talk about it. And he stood up. He was very devoted and dedicated to that because I was devoted and dedicated to it. So,
Hmm.
you know, he understood what we were about. He saw the strength and the positiveness that he got from me, and he just stuck in there with me as Tammy Wynette say, stand by your man. And I did.
And we're glad you did because I mean you made him the man that he was, and we really appreciate that.
Sir.
Um, so there's and I'm just flipping through some pictures
Oh
as
yeah, that's a beautiful picture. That was done. We was on the I think it was Lakeshore Drive in Chicago because that's where we actually got married and lived in Chicago. And very good. Oh yeah, that's a good one right there. The twins were born, and little Muhammad was finally got in the picture. The book is going to talk a lot about Muhammad's reaction
Mhm.
to giving birth to his own son, and I have never seen a man faint. He's the first man I ever seen faint in the delivery room, and he
so,
had a slight
so
concussion.
so his son was the first one to make Muhammad Ali go down, right?
Yeah,
Nobody
knocked
was
him right out.
down. This man was like a rock. You couldn't knock him down. He was the
He
first
was
one.
a rock.
The first
He
one
was
to knock
great.
him. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I am so right there. That was taken up at the Deer Lake camp in Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
and the story on that one is they never expressed or told anybody about me discovering the land and creating the camp. I'm the one that was the culprit that created the camp and designed the camp. It's
Hmm.
not. It hasn't been told in any of his life stories at all. So it gives me privilege to go back behind those days and years and give my side of the story because I made a great impact on our lives. We helped and supported each other, and we had a beautiful family at that time. And it's oh wow, look at that. 17 years old. Wow, big change now, isn't it? Now here I am 70, not 17.
But you don't look that different. That's the thing. It's like,
I know that's yeah. You know what? I think it's the DNA and the genes. My mom and dad are handsome couples, and they were handsome from the time they got married. You
mhm.
know, and they still stayed handsome. My mother just turned 90 in
Wow.
June, and she looks great. She don't look like a day over 65. And so I have to be blessed with my mother and father. They gave me the gene, and I feel good. I feel energetic. And oh wow, that was a good one too. That's a great, yeah. I was going through some really heavy stuff at that picture, right there.
So
I think it's chapter 30. But
and there's a lot that I wanted to talk to you about too, with because we see Muhammad, and we see or at the time he was Cassius Clay when you first met him. But one of the things that we wanted to we don't know, or we probably did, but we just overlooked, there was actually a lot of adultery and stuff like that in the relationship.
yeah, that's the downside because divorce never ends up good. It never ends up good.
Mhm.
And Ali used to listen to me a lot, and I was amazed about he listened to me because I was trying to tell him the truth. I was trying to give him uh, wisdom,
Mhm.
and even though he was 8 years older than me, I was 8 years older mentally, education wise. And he just listened to me because everything I've ever told him came out to be true and successful for him in his honor. So he said, "Well, I'm gonna listen to this lady," and he listened. And then I learned about him and his mannerisms and everything. So it was so easy. He just listened to me. I mean, I would tell him things and it would take it upon himself to activate on it. So that's what I'm saying. I give him suggestion and he follows through. Now when you're husband and wife and you follow through, it makes the bond even greater.
Mhm.
Realize one thing, Steve, best of us. We start listening to the wrong peoples. We start hanging around with the wrong riffraff, and if you have any kind of comfort in
Mhm.
what the riffraff is doing, and you get comfortable doing it, and you're happy doing it, makes you feel good, even though it might be a wrong thing. Uh, he is not as strong in his foundation as I was, so he would fall to these people's riffraff, and then he started creating bad habits. And when he started creating these bad habits, he stopped actually taking my advice. Um,
So,
when,
um,
when I
so-
when I see something, somebody's not listening to me, I
mhm.
just say, you know what? This is where you're gonna be. Then you can't be with me. And I had to let him go. I
so
had to
let
let
me
him
ask you, and you were talking about different people in the circle and stuff like that. And I don't know how much you could talk about. So I'll ask the question, and if you can't talk about it, then you just let me know. What
go. All
about
right,
Don King? Don King, you know,
Don King. Okay.
and he actually has an.
I met this young man, Don King, and he was quite a character. I think I was the only one that ever really admired Don King. Don King had came from a world of crime. He came from a world of prostitution and drugs. And this man comes to our site or come around boxing a lot and start learning the ropes. And he turned his whole life around legally and became a promoter.
Mhm.
So I take my hat off to Don King for changing his whole life around. He got out of the wild world and the crime world and changed it into a prosperous promoting world. And I think any man has done that. I take my hat off to him. And but everybody didn't like the guy. They said he was a thief. He took money from the boxers. All promoters take money from boxers. That's not no big deal. Uh, they're there to promote, and nobody could be a better promoter than Muhammad Ali. Okay, he self promoted himself way before Don King. So uh, anybody that touched Ali's robe will gain some kind of notoriety. All right. Uh,
Mhm.
then they make this big thing about Don King and Africa and promoting the thing in Africa
The
when it,
rumble in the jungle.
that I know, huh?
The rumble in the jungle.
Yeah, but he didn't do that. That was done by the infamous Lloyd Price, who wrote Stagger Lee and Mashed Potatoes. He was the one set that whole thing up,
Uh-huh.
brought Don King on board and flourished. They both flourished with that. So, when you're inside seeing the real deal, it's like it's so exciting. Then it comes outside something different. That's the excitement being around famous people because you don't know really what instigated it or started it. Because I would tell you, anybody that's great, anybody that's well known, Walt Disney, all these people, Tyler Perry, all these people who are well known, Dr. Johnson, anybody who is well known got there through the help of somebody else.
True.
All of that. They are the forefront, but there's so many influential people that actually supported and got them where they are. Nobody gets to stardom or fame or word fortune without the help of somebody else. Nobody does it by themselves.
Question for you. That picture in the back,
Oh,
behind you, the four guys behind you, is that the Rat Pack by any chance?
oh, oh, you see, that's Goodfellas.
Oh, that's Goodfellas. All right, because I'm like,
Yeah, a friend of mine gave me that yesterday, matter of fact, and I put it on my wall. It was in an Italian restaurant, which a Muslim took over the restaurant. The restaurant is called, it's a takeout delivery. It's called the Giza. It has all halal fast food out here in Fort Lauderdale. And it was in an Italian little fast food restaurant. And they, and I love Italian movies. I like the movies Goodfellas. So they gave it to me and I hung it up. Hey, you see this one? Do you see this one? How you
yeah.
like that?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And it says underneath, it was given to me, presented to me by CARE. CARE is a law firm that supported me when I was detained at the airport because I was a Muslim. And the CARE people dedicated and gave me that picture. And it says, don't count the days, make the days count.
And I was
Yeah.
going to ask you about that one too, because you and your son were detained at the airport. And what was that all about?
Since the President Trump has been in office, he put that on the platform to name the travel ban Muslim ban, to ban Muslims by our President Donald Trump. And then when I actually went to Jamaica and my son and I went to Jamaica and came back, by the time I hit Fort Lauderdale, they said they detained us for hours.
At Fort Lauderdale.
I said, well, what's wrong with my passport? It wasn't nothing wrong with it when I left, and I didn't come from Syria, and I wasn't born over there. I was born in Chicago, and they detained me, and I'm a citizen of the United States. So this travel ban, that gave me a problem. So I ended up going to Capitol Hill. Muhammad Ali and I went to Capitol Hill to take the name ban, the Muslim ban off there. And also the CARE lawyers were there, and we protested to get the name Muslim off of the travel ban because it's focusing on a certain people. This country is basically a Christian country, and they shouldn't do that and target Muslims like that. So we actually won the debate, and I came here to speak at FAU about Trump putting the travel ban with Muslims on it, and they it was like unbelievable. I couldn't believe that they just focused on Muslims like that. I mean, we would never do that. Put a Christian ban, Christian travel ban. I mean, why would you want to use it for Muslims? That's not right. That's not the Christian thing to do. So we won the case, and or not, these people behind me that was supporting me was telling me to go and talk against Trump and call Trump all kind of names, and Muslims don't do that either. So I said to them, "No, I have a holy Quran for Trump, and if you want to learn about Muslims, there you go. We're not here to blasphemous any person that
Right.
does things. We try to educate them. If we got a president that don't know what he's doing, we educate him. We don't call him names or doing that. Even now, people calling the man names and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, this man does what he wants to do whenever he wants to do it, whether he's educated or not. But instead of doubting Trump, you should support him and educate him. Say, look, Trump, this is what we do. This is what we want. That's any president that comes into play. They should support the president and say, hey, president, we don't want this. We want this. And just plainly ask the man or teach the man about you. That's how we get what we want. We don't get it by slandering people or, you know, saying bad things to this is you still have to respect him as a president, no matter what. Just like you have to respect the police department. They serve and protect. You might have some bad people around, but you have to realize these criminals that get caught, they resist arrest. And when you resist arrest, look, you got caught. You must submit to it, go to jail, and be respectful of the officer that's around you. They always talk about reform the police department, reform the police, or teach them this. Look, they might have certain people that might act up, but they're acting up on the presentation you're giving them. I've seen people cuss cops out. I will call the cop all kind of names, and this man has got a gun. You don't cuss people out that got a gun. That's kind of stupid, right? What do you think?
The thing though, but here's the thing. And what about the times that you don't do those things and still they you have
You'll
the
have
shoot.
a you'll have a better case.
I'd agree with you on. I'd agree with you on some of the things. Like for example, when we see a person acting out or whatever, or running or whatever the case may be, but we still have times that we see white people running from the police or fighting the police or even having a gun and they're waving it and they don't get shot. So it's like it's
Yeah,
almost like
well,
different levels of
that
justice.
kind of reform is understandable. That is a kind of reform, but it takes two to tango. The criminal has to reform, and the police have to reform.
But my question is, why don't we see these issues when it's a white person that is that's fighting the police? We don't see them shoot the person. We
They
see
won't show it to you, but it has happened.
they'll bring a negotiator and talk a person down for hours.
Yeah.
Where with us it's like they're quick to just pull the trigger. But I
Right.
wanted to ask you another question. I want to ask you about something else that I read online, and
Right.
and I didn't know. Your godfather. Who's your godfather? Is it Rocky?
Yeah, well, my godfather was very white, but The Rock, who is Dwayne Johnson's father, was my best friend. He was like, I would call him Godfather sometimes, just to say it, because he was a great man, and I adore him. And I would ask him to go out. We would sign autographs together just to be around a great man like that. He's like a godfather to me too. And he was so beautiful in the 60s. I've seen him in the 60s, and he was one of the greatest. He broke the barrier of the wrestling world by getting the first belts of wrestling for a black man. I mean, he broke the barrier, and they're my heroes. And to sit with him and just enjoy his presence. And he was very wise and smart. And he said a lot of positive things about how he struggled as a wrestler. And, he fought for what he believed in, and he got to elevate his personality because he wouldn't stand down. I love men being around men like that. It's like, like my father was a great man, but not known or famous, but he was a great man. And to see great men develop this strength. And I know Dwayne adores his father, and our men today need to be around their fathers. They
Hmm.
need to be around them. A lot of our women push them away as if they're not even a part of them, put men in jail, but that's one of my ventures too, to talk to women, to encourage and support the Black man. He might be he might not be nothing at the time, but if you would give him our Black men more inspiration, no matter who they are, whether they're a junkie, whether they're alcoholic, if you would spend the time with him and say, baby, you can do anything you want to do. You can be the best of all men. If we would give them that kind of support, and don't call them dogs, don't call them negative, because even if they are, they need to have something positive coming their way. Because I'm going to tell you something, men can control and destroy anything that's bad and make things happen. They are the rulers and the protectors and supporters of our world. And we should never try to tarnish that or bring them down like that. And
So
women do it all the time, and it's not fair. And we would have more men today if we would give them more support and more encouragement. I'm being honest.
and that brings me to another thing too, because during the time that you were married to Muhammad Ali, and he was cheating and stuff like that, you stayed with him. You
Oh
stuck
yeah,
by his side. And
yeah. Even when he went crazy and did stupid stuff, by hanging around with trollops and falling into their clutches, being manipulated by trollops. These women only want money. They want stardom and all this kind of stuff without working for it. And this is this is bad. This is bad. And like a woman can make you or break you.
Mhm. But even after he when he got married to when you divorced and he got married to other women, you guys were still friends.
Yeah, we stayed friends because I wasn't gonna let them trollops kill what we have built all our lives. I wasn't
Uh-huh.
gonna let these women, because he's weak to them, that they're gonna steal our joy of a good solid family and a strength for our people, a strength for being an Afro American couple or
Mhm.
Bilalian couple that gave poise and respect to our community. I wasn't going to let these trollops do that. They only turned out to be babysitters. That's all they turned out to be, was babysitters.
And
And
even
I
even
was there to guide him to do the right thing.
but even to the end, when when he was sick and everything, you were still there with him.
Yes, sir. I supported him all the way.
And see, and that's the thing. I mean, and I tell people all the time. I say it a lot on the show, and I post a lot of different things. But women aren't like the women today aren't like they were back in your day or my grandmother's day or people day, because I mean it's like.
No, they're disrespectful. They'll break a family up and they don't care about anybody's family. They don't care about the children in that family. They just want to get what they want. They'll have babies by the man to distract them and all of that. They did all that. And they knew what they were doing. And these are women that has no respect for anybody. They have no respect for themselves and they don't have respect for other women. And but it's sad to say they are there to do their bidding. There are Delilahs out there to cut the man's power away. And we have women like that. The women today is even worse than the women of yesterday. But
Mhm.
a lot of people just don't innocently get somebody uh, on pure respect or pure merit. They have to force their hand by getting pregnant, trying to make a good man, take care of their illegitimate children and all that. And then the children are damaged because of it. And, it's just wrong. But it is what it is.
Now you have an organization that you created where you buy books and you do different
Oh,
things
yeah.
for kids.
Well, this is the thing.
Uh-huh.
This is because why I did it. Because of these kind of women, I've learned to try to teach young girls not to be the way they were. To try to teach the girls and boys how to be respectful, how to refrain from lust and disrespectful acts. You have to learn that during your younger age. It helps a lot when you're younger, so it'll be in your foundation. I was the only virgin that Ali ever married because I wasn't going to have sex with him until I got married so he can know what the true woman is. And I know that for a fact. So I want other girls to be the same way. They're young, they're vulnerable, and they don't have a lot of knowledge, and they get trapped under the persuasion of men who want to get to them. They don't realize that just words, does not make a woman. It's the action that makes a woman a woman. She has a crown, and her crown grows by being respectful, being loyal, and it takes strength. It takes good moral application to be that. They might say it's old fashioned, but old fashioned is good. The old code is good. I said, you know what? I was reading the story of Prophet Muhammad, may Allah bless him. And his character was so great. And he married a 40-year-old woman, 40 years older than him. And he
Really?
said that was the best marriage he ever had. It was a perfect marriage until she passed away. And I could see that. And I saw the way he carried himself. He didn't run around and have a whole lot of women. He had wives, but he had wives one wife at a time. They don't tell you that. See?
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that is to say this. When I created the book, it says, what's wrong with this picture? And then on the back, it gives a solution. It's a coloring book. So instead of reading a lot of words, just show actions. And I said, let me create this coloring book that teaches manners. And honey, when I finished that coloring book, my dad said, this is awesome. If you don't finish it, give it to your sisters. Give it to your sister, your daughters. And then my dad, I said, what do you mean if I don't finish? So I finished the book, I made a deadline, and I finished it. And now, since then, I've gotten proclamations all over the state, especially in Miami-Dade County. They're willing to buy my books and put it in the schools because the mannerisms that they learn in these books will help our children and adults. I don't do it just for kids. I do it for adults as well. So the children will know what the adults are supposed to do, and they won't be surprised about what they should do. And all you have to do is just practice it. It's the old code, but it's a code that will live forever. I had these kind of manners, and I was taught these. That's why I was able to conduct myself in a very dignified manner when I met Queen of England and kings and queens of different countries. I had those mannerisms that was taught by me, and it made me successful. And that's why a lot of people admire me for me being Ali's wife. You think they liked him? They liked him because he chose a good wife. Because the way I carried myself made him look good. And
True.
that's what women supposed to do. Carry themselves, not going to a fight, going with somebody's husband, and introducing yourself as a girlfriend in front of a fight. That ain't the way it goes. That was so disrespectful.
So we have a comment here from Marissa, and she would say, "Hi, Mama Kalia." Uh, but here's another question for you, because we see so many different things, going on, and we see all these different what they call now reality shows, which really aren't real. So
Oh my goodness. Oh, you did not say the bad word. Reality show. Honey, Mr. Steve, I turned to one of the reality shows and I saw these beautiful, rich, and wealthy women. And I saw them act so disrespectful. Whoa, where did I go? Where did I go? Okay, sorry. I got
You're gone. You disappeared. Oh man, she disappeared. She got back. She's gonna be right back with us. Oh, there we go. Here we go.
that's why I hate this phone. They said we do interview. We're gonna use the other phone. But I saw these beautiful women, rich women, so vulgar and disgusting. It was just, it hurt me. It broke my heart to see somebody representing us as women. And I don't care whether you're white, I don't care if you're black, Chinese, Filipino. When you act like the way these women act on is ridiculous. Even the hip hop, they got talented people and they just vulgar. Leave something for the imagination, sister. You don't need to show everything you got. This is why you are treated like this around people. That's
And
why. You wonder why.
the thing is, and that brings us to the next thing, the level of respect.
Yeah.
Because one of the things too, I was watching Jeopardy, and this was about maybe a year or two ago, and one of the questions was, is the only star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame that is not on the ground, and nobody could come up with the answer. And it's Muhammad Ali. He said he would only accept the star if you don't put it on the ground. He doesn't want anyone to walk on Elijah Muhammad's name, which is the his first name. And they actually put it on the wall because of a level of respect for Muhammad Ali. They didn't say, okay, well, forget you. We're not going to put it.
No, you know what? This is why we have to stand our ground and represent what we believe in. It's not only that, no name Muhammad, because the Muhammad not only came, it didn't just come from the Elijah Muhammad, which he deserved every respect, but from the Prophet Muhammad of 1400 years ago. He was the greatest. He was the seal of all prophets. We don't put our names on the ground because the value of those names are clean and respected. And this is what all Muslims knew, do just not just Muhammad Ali, but he was the beginning to start to do that. And that's what we all should do. That is a very noble and respectful movement. And I wasn't with him, but Muslims was around him. And I was glad and thankful to Allah that he came up with that idea because that's what Muslims do. And sign of respect. The name Muhammad is one of the greatest names of all times because of the seal of the Prophet Muhammad. May peace and blessings be upon him. And this is what I'm talking about. When you become Muslims, you get educated. Muhammad, as old as he got older, he became educated in Islam. And there are Muslims around you that will support you in the right thing to do. And I'm glad that happened. And that's a beautiful thing. Yes.
Because when I saw that, I was like, "Wow, that's awesome!" Because again, it goes back to, and I'm looking for the picture right now so I can actually show it on.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of funny you brought that up. I was looking at Facebook the other day and I saw that on Facebook, and I said I was so proud of him for that. And you know what? There's another thing that I'm going to put on the platform that you have never heard or probably never heard, and the fact that people call us Afro Americans. Well, the history of Bilal was the first black convert to Islam, and he became the Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessing upon him. He chose him to do the call of prayer during the days of Prophet Muhammad. Alhamdulillah. And so why should we be called Afro Americans when they cut it short, Afro Americans, instead of say African Americans? And the Irish people are not going to sit and say ish, I ish, people. They're going to say the full name. So why cut yourself short? But the fact that we to come up with the name Afro American, we should come up with the name Bilalian because it was taught by me through the Imam Wardi Muhammad, who's the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said we should be called Bilalian because it's the white man who named Africa, Africa. So why we should take a name that the white man gave and get it from the source that we was the first black people that were slaves that was freed by not only we was put in slavery by white man and we always got out of slave by a white man, which is Abraham Lincoln. So why don't we name ourselves Bilalian instead of Afro-American? So, and I signed my name on any document, it's Bilalian. It's not Afro-American, it's not black, and so it's not.
Where Bilalian came from?
Bilalian came from the Caliph Bilal that was born in Ethiopia, and he was the first convert to Islam, black convert to Islam, and he's also the man that the Prophet Muhammad chose to call the prayer, Bilal. And Bilal was a slave, just like we were. So we should go under the names of our ancestors and from our history. Bilalian would be better because all black people should be called Bilalians because we were slaves. We got enslaved by white men and we got freed by white men. So we should use it as the person that we were, slaves, and that was Bilal. The beautiful story of Bilal. So I don't call myself Afro-American. I don't call myself black. I call myself Bilalian. And that's what we should call each other, Bilalian.
Bilalian. I'm going to have to look him up. I'm going to
check that out, bro.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what, Steve? There are times where, I love films and I love movies. Matter of fact, I was in a couple of films and movies. And I see that a lot of bad influences are in films and movies. A lot of people don't even like people to look at movies or their kids look at TV or movies because they say it's an influence, which it is. So instead of but you can get a lot of information from movies and film. You still can get educated on them. So I decided to start a comic strip called HC Comics. And that means humanitarian comics. And I want to produce clean movies. Nothing with sex in them. That's a private matter belonging to the people. Sex should never be shown and exposed to the public. And it teaches moral excellence. And so I have a couple of films, Sinbad the Peacemaker. I have a great actor. I have a casting company. You know what my casting company is named?
What's the name?
The Greatest casting agency at AOL.com. If you go there and put your picture in there and your resume, if you don't have a resume, we'll create one for you. And we're going to use clean people and people with moral excellence to play in these films. And I got one guy who's going to be playing Sinbad the Peacemaker, and his name is Mark Hathaway, a 6'9" brother who is very talented in acting and everything. When I saw him, my whole creation of the Sinbad, which I had dreamed at the age of 14, I decided to make that movie, redo that movie myself. And with superheroes with superpowers that we have today, that we can use today, that we don't use.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You ever see Captain America?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
You see how many times he tells Iron Man to watch his language?
Actually, I never really.
You never noticed that? He always said, "Watch your mouth, watch your language," and he says that a lot. See, that's some stuff a lot of kids get. You don't know.
I'll be honest with you. When I go to the movies, I normally fall asleep. It's like by the time.
Oh wow, there you go. But these children aren't falling asleep. They see and hear everything.
Because even like when I fly on an airplane, I mean, as soon as the plane levels off, I'm out.
Really? Well, you're a man of action. You've done so much action. That's probably the only time you get peaceful sleep.
Pretty much, yeah.
Also, I want to let people know if you want to donate to the children's book, and so we can get them in all the schools, send your donation to Color to Learn Books. And the address is 212 East Hillsborough, Suite 328 in Deerfield Beach, Florida, 33441. There you go.
Hillsborough. Okay, I'm gonna post that on my site.
I have a special address for you, bro.
But the 212 East Hillsborough, I'm gonna get that one from you, and I'll post that on.
Yeah, that's where they can send their donations for us to finish printing up the books and giving them out to the kids who can't afford it, and to the schools if we ever open up again. In case you don't have the schools, you don't go to schools, we can mail the books directly to you. There you go.
Because the thing is, I mean, and I'm very involved in a lot of different things with schools and with education and with kids, and that goes really close to my heart because that's something that I've always loved to do. So I'm gonna definitely make sure I post that and I promote that.
You should do that. Yeah, education is the most powerful thing in the world. When you get educated, even though your education is hands-on and experience, but when you have the background of the education with it, it really is so important. It really is important. And educating our children at home the way we act at home is important. That's why my coloring book teaches the parents, when you argue, you don't argue in front of your children. You don't let them hear what you're arguing about. They should not take in and get the pressure of hearing something they don't know anything about, and then they see the reaction between the two, and they shouldn't see that. You should never argue in front of your children. If you want to have a fight, go in your room with your spouse and you talk, or your friend, and you talk it out. You don't argue it out. You don't scream it out. You talk it out.
Right.
All the emotions and everything gets all riled up, and children tend to do that.
Let me ask you real quick before we go, because I gotta, I'm gonna wrap up in just a little bit. But real quick before we go, what do you think? Well, first off, what do you think of Black Lives Matter, and what do you think Muhammad Ali would have thought of Black Lives Matter, as we see the organization and as we see the things that are that they're doing today?
Well, I cannot speak for Muhammad, but I can say all his life he has fought for the freedom of Black people. So he automatically have done that in the support of justice with Afro-American or Bilalians. He have always been standing for that. We have always stood for that, for truth and justice all our lives, and he's done it in his own actions. And and as far as Black Lives Matter, and I know that all lives matter, but when it comes to Black Lives Matter, since that they brought that up, yes, they do matter. They do matter, and they need justice. And we've been fighting for justice and diversity for a long time. But this generation is taking it more seriously because they've always been there trying to get freedom and justice. All of their lives, Black people have been trying to get freedom and justice for a very long time. They have always tried to fight for that. But the generation didn't allow them to get any justice. The generation of hate and racism has never given us justice. And since the Black Lives Matter speaks up, yes, we should fight for that freedom and that justice. But we most importantly want it done through the courts, through the judicial system, so it can be real. Talking is one thing, fighting for justice is another thing. After you fight and you support that, it should be written in paper, and make it work. It's a beautiful thing that all people, all the people, white, yellow, green, all the people are working for the justice of Black people. It's a whole generation now. They don't do the stuff that they used to do back in the day.
But the thing is, we see people out there marching. We see everyone marching. We see the white, the Black, the Hispanics. We see everyone marching. But then when it comes time to go to the polls and vote, where it really matters, we're not seeing them going to the polls.
Yeah, well, see, if Black lives is going to matter, you got to vote for it.
Right, because let's look at Broward County. Let's look at this county that we're in right now. In Broward, we have about 1.3 million registered voters. But yet, in the election that we just had on August 18th for sheriff, for judges, for state attorney, for public defender, we had less than 300,000 people actually vote. So we're talking 1 million people did not vote.
Yeah.
But yet,
and when they don't vote, the vote goes to the bad guys.
Exactly.
And they don't understand the power of politics. They don't want to be involved. They don't want to vote. Oh, I ain't going to vote. And so you got to pick somebody. So you should be educated on who that person is. During the time when there's no elections, find out who these officials are. Whoever don't treat you right in your community, the only way you can get them out of your community is to vote.
Exactly.
Well, and our people will not do it. Our people will not vote and put the wrong person in there and then bicker and beg about how come they can't get what they want.
But it's not just us, though, because like I said, there's 1.3 million voters in Broward, Black, white, Democrat, Republican, 1.3 million, but only 300,000 came out. Less than 300 came out.
That's crazy. That's some crazy numbers there, bro. We have to vote. We have to.
So real quick before I go, tell me a little bit about this picture right here.
Wow. Those are the things. Huh? That's in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Well, which was the final big home that we had together. I owned that home. I stayed busy by designing the grounds and the house. I've always wanted to be an architect or engineer. So I kind of, Ali let me do that to keep me busy.
And
while he ran around with trollops.
And
but,
that's
what'd you say?
I like the Rolls Royce. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, well, he deserved it. He deserved that Rolls Royce. He worked very hard for it.
Yeah, he definitely
deserved to be in the best luxury in the world. He's the man's a king. And I was his queen. And what we went through in our lifetimes, him, most importantly, did even more. Just like I said, we have great men. And we have men that are kings. And we must treat them as kings. And they deserve anything that they work hard for. And it's a beautiful. It was a beautiful time and place. But most importantly, with all the luxury things like that, when you have people trying to break you up,
Hmm.
don't mean anything. Don't mean anything. But he deserved it. We had a beautiful family. He was with our family a lot. That's why when we divorced, I said, "Look, I'm gonna throw away all the bad things that you've ever done to me, and I am going to just remember the good stuff, and I want you to do your best. And we're not gonna let no court tell us what to do with our children. These are our children." And he said, "Really?" He said, "You're gonna forgive me?" I said, "Yes, I'm gonna forgive you because we have to move on. We have black people who need us, and we have black people who have to show we have to show them respect for one another when we divorce or anything like that. We must respect each other because we met each other at a beautiful time. We loved each other. So women, they need to forgive, and they don't have to get with the guy. You can be your friend, and because you have children, even if you don't have children, just being quarrel with each other where we can walk down the street and see each other and still greet each other in respect. You know,
Hmm.
y'all both got your freedom. You both went your own distance or your own way. So where's the animosity? It's over.
Right.
So be respectful and decent people because we have learned from each other. So we need to kill that anger, kill that hate. That don't need to be there. No, sir.
All right. So, give us would that give us a 1 minute wrap up that before we go because I definitely have to head back to work now. But give us
Yes,
that
sir.
1 minute wrap up. That word of wisdom.
The words of wisdom, I said, we need to respect and have moral excellence. We need to work on that very hard because hatred is not for our place. It's not supposed to be in our presence. We keep hatred out.
Mm.
Don't get stupid, but take the hatred out. Do not demand. You have to demand respect and forgive. You have to learn to forgive. You have to learn to forgive.
And I appreciate that. That's very important. Forgiveness is very important. I didn't tell anybody
Very,
forget. You don't forget,
yeah,
but you
yeah.
forgive because
There you
forgiveness.
go. You don't forget, Steve. You forget.
You don't forget, you forgive because the thing is when it comes to when somebody do you wrong, you want to know how to treat them later
That's
on.
right. Because when you are kind, when somebody do you wrong, God will bless you. You want to go into the hereafter on a good note, and you want to be pleased in this life and in the next. You want to be good because
Yeah.
there is a hereafter. So you need to do really good in this life. So because God is watching you every move you make. So don't think he's not. It ain't like being around the police. If ain't nobody watching, you'll steal it. But God is watching. Allah is watching. But
All right.
people need to get that. And you know what? Steve, I want to thank you for inviting me on your show to talk about my people. And I'm going to try to get these movies out with great people like Eric Clausen, Mark Hathaway,
Mhm.
Kyle Kirsch, all these great men. We're going to show the strength that the man has and the power they have over our young men so they can be better men when they grow up and better fathers.
All right. Sounds good. And thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Okay.
you, Steve. God bless you. Thank you.
Bless you. We'll talk.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. I mean, as always, I try to bring you guys the best of information, and there we had it. We have Dr. Ali. I mean, she was awesome. She was great. She gave us those nuggets of knowledge that I know we all learned from. I mean, the conversation was so good. I didn't even get to run any commercials, and so but yes, I mean, seriously, it's like we got an insight into what it was like in her marriage with Muhammad Ali, and we also learned a lot about forgiveness, and that's one of the things we have to do. People, we have to forgive each other. Nobody said forget, but forgive. and just learn how to treat people going forward. That's how you're supposed to do. So, I mean, I hope that this information helps someone out there. I hope someone out there that was thinking about, I don't know what, but you know who it is that it reached. All right. But again, if you guys need any kind of help, anything like that, go to the website, lunchtimetalkwithsteve.com. We have the Get Help section. Don't worry, my beard is growing in. It's going to grow in good. I'm looking at myself on the monitor. It's going to grow. Go to the Get Help section on the website, and you can go to things like 211 if you need help with your rent and your light. You can go to the suicide prevention hotline if you're having any kind of issues, depression, you want to talk to someone. If you're looking for the food bank in your area, there's also the Feed America website that we have the link to. You just put your zip code. It tells you where there's a food bank in your area. Guys, pride doesn't really feed you. It doesn't do anything for you except keep you down. Get rid of the pride and go to the website if you need help with anything. All right. It's all on there. The website is right here. Oh, right there. Right there. Yeah. So go to the website, click on the Get Help section. All right. If you see someone needs something, if they need to go to the food bank and they don't have a vehicle, give them a ride. If not, bring the food to them. If you see someone else out there, homeless person, whatever, go to McDonald's, go to the dollar menu, buy them something to eat, because it may be the only thing they had to eat all week or maybe all day. I don't know. Maybe the only decent meal they've had in a long time. I know to you, McDonald's is not a decent meal, but to them it is. All right. So guys, get out there, make sure that we help out each other, because you are your brother's keeper. All right. So with that being said, it's time for us to head out. Again, I didn't get a chance to run commercials, but I'm gonna run a commercial break real quick before we do the credits. All right, so take care of yourself, take care of each other, and do a random act of kindness for a stranger, because tomorrow you may be that stranger that needs that random act of kindness. All right. Peace, people. I'll see you. Let me tell you about CCTV RX. With over 30 years in the security industry here in South Florida, they have proven themselves to be the first choice when it comes to security professionals. So whether you're trying to secure your home or your business, there's no other choice. Give them a call today for a free estimate.
To be more tech savvy, create your own compelling graphics, sales pages, and marketing tools? Would you like to effectively use social media to generate more leads? If the answer is yes, register for one or all of the 8-module digital marketing series. You will feel comfortable in a judge-free, nurturing environment as we get the work done. My name is Melissa Jane, and I am your tech trainer.
If your car could talk, it would say call Curvin's Car Detailing Service. It's mobile and they can come to you no matter where you are in Barrow County. Give Curvin a call, 954-549-8507, and tell him that Steve sent you.
You take me there. I want some real good food to eat. I want shucking and jiving, shucking and jiving. I want shucking and jiving, shucking and jiving, shucking and jiving. I want shucking and jiving.
Well, I know I got what you want. I know you like that diamond shrimp. My southern fish and them geechee grits. My granddaddy make you have a fit.
Right on.
I try to give you all of my best. I do it straight from the heart. Cook it straight.
That's what it is. Come on down to Shuck It and Jive, the Cajun food with an old school groove. Our designers to get your taste palette back in line, baby. Follow us at We Shuck It.
Please visit lunchtimetalkwithsteve.com if you would like to be a guest or advertise on the show. If you're interested in any of the products or services you saw on the show today, or if you would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website, lunchtimetalkwithsteve.com. Thank you.